No one saw it coming. The movie meant to empower women turned into one of Hollywood's most toxic battlegrounds. It Ends With Us was supposed to be a triumph, an emotional adaptation of Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel. It's directed by Justin Baldoni and starring Blake Lively. On paper, it was everything a modern love story should be: bold, raw, and told by two of the industry's most respected names. Baldoni, known for his heartfelt storytelling and sensitive approach, carried a reputation for bringing emotional truth to the screen. Lively, an actress, beloved for her charm and business acumen, stepped into the project not just as a star, but as a producer with real creative influence. For fans, it was a dream pairing. For Hollywood insiders, it looked like a guaranteed hit. But when the cameras stopped rolling, the dream began to crack. Months after filming wrapped, whispers spread that something had gone wrong behind closed doors, something no one could quite explain. Then came the court documents. Hidden deep inside deposition files was a single explosive word: extortion. No, it wasn't about money. It was about control, creative control, reputation, and the invisible power plays that drive Hollywood's biggest productions. What had started as collaboration had turned into chaos, and the industry was suddenly divided because behind the polished red carpets and smiling interviews, a quiet war had begun, one that would expose more than just egos. But to understand how this storm formed, we need to rewind to the moment cameras stopped rolling. When It Ends With Us was first announced, Hollywood buzzed with excitement. The pairing of Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni felt like lightning in a bottle. Two respected artists uniting to bring a powerful, emotional story to life. Lively, stepping in as both star and producer, was determined to elevate the film beyond just another book adaptation. Baldoni, the sensitive storyteller behind 5 Feet Apart, wanted to ground it in raw, emotional honesty. In the beginning, everything looked perfect. On set, Blake reportedly praised Justin's vision, calling his directing style heart-centered. He, in turn, described her as a visionary collaborator who understood the soul of the story. Interviews showed chemistry, shared laughter, and genuine admiration. But as filming continued, something shifted. Insiders described a slow tension, small, creative disagreements that grew into unspoken friction. According to whispers from crew members, Blake wanted a polished, cinematic tone that reflected her brand: elegant, empowering, and visually stunning. Justin, however, wanted realism, the messy, imperfect truth behind trauma and recovery. Both believed they were protecting the story, but their visions began to clash. Things reportedly got worse during post-production. Sources claimed that creative decisions, music, pacing, even marketing became battlegrounds. Ryan Reynolds, Blake's husband, allegedly offered script notes, further complicating the dynamic. What once felt like partnership started to feel like rivalry. By the time editing wrapped, the dream team had gone quiet. No joint interviews, no playful banter online. What had begun as collaboration was now buried under tension and mistrust. And that silence didn't last long, because soon, one word would leak from private emails and set the entire studio on fire: extortion. The tension that had been quietly building between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni finally burst into the open when a single word escaped the walls of Sony Pictures: extortion. It appeared deep within a deposition. Transcript from Baldoni's former agent, Danny Greenberg, a respected figure at WME who had represented him during the making of It Ends With Us, according to court documents later obtained by People. Greenberg had described Lively's cumulative behavior during post-production as extortion. In private emails to Sony executives, he allegedly warned about what he called her continued effort to gain control of the film. The revelation hit Hollywood like a thunderclap, but Greenberg would later clarify that he wasn't referring to a literal crime. His words, he explained, had been an expression of frustration, a way to describe the mounting pressure the studio Baldoni and his company, Wayfarer Studios, were feeling as tensions escalated. Still, the damage was done. Once that word was written, it could never be unheard. Behind the scenes, Sony executives scrambled to contain the fallout. Reports claim that discussions between studio heads and lawyers became almost daily occurrences. Blake's team called the claims twisted interpretations, while Baldoni's supporters said the word reflected how manipulative the situation had become, and all of it stemmed from something far deeper than creative control. It was about reputation. In Hollywood, perception is power, and both stars knew it. Every leaked phrase, every whispered memo became ammunition. In a growing cold war of influence, that one explosive word never meant to be public had now become the centerpiece of a Hollywood scandal. What began as creative friction soon evolved into a full-blown power struggle, a quiet, relentless tug-of-war between two people who once admired each other. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni weren't just co-stars. They were co-leaders of It Ends With Us. Both had reputations built on integrity and vision. But when two strong voices fight to steer the same ship, the waves always rise. As the film moved into post-production, insiders say both camps wanted control over how the story would be told. Lively, serving as both star and producer, reportedly pushed for a refined, emotionally balanced final cut, one that would appeal to audiences and honor Colleen Hoover's fan base. Baldoni, meanwhile, was said to favor a raw, less glamorous approach, one that showed the messy, unfiltered truth of trauma. Behind closed doors, heated discussions allegedly turned into ultimatums. Some reports claim Lively hinted she might skip promotional events if her creative concerns were ignored. Others suggest Baldoni felt blindsided by her growing influence, describing her requests as unreasonable. Private exchanges later unearthed in court. It wasn't just about editing anymore. It was about ownership. Whose vision would define the story? Whose voice would audiences hear? And perhaps most importantly, whose name would the public blame if the movie failed? Emails show Sony executives caught in the middle, worried the conflict could damage the release. Greenberg's now infamous word, extortion, echoed through every meeting. Even as both sides tried to keep appearances professional, by the time the film premiered, the damage was invisible, but undeniable. The smiles on red carpets couldn't hide the fracture behind them. Just when the studio thought the storm had passed, a real explosion hit. In December 2024, months after It Ends With Us premiered, Blake Lively filed a sexual harassment complaint against Justin Baldoni, a move that sent shockwaves through Hollywood. The woman who had once called him a brilliant collaborator was now accusing him of misconduct on set and of launching a retaliatory smear campaign. When she spoke up, Baldoni's response was immediate and fierce. Through his legal team, he denied every allegation, calling them baseless and strategically timed to destroy his reputation. Within weeks, the conflict escalated into a legal war. Baldoni filed a countersuit against Lively and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, accusing them of defamation and extortion, the same word that had haunted the studio months earlier. But that counterattack didn't last. In June 2025, a judge dismissed Baldoni's claims, even after assuming his allegations were true for the sake of argument. The court ruled that they still didn't amount to a valid legal claim. Lively's team quickly seized on that ruling, calling Baldoni's accusations a recycled distraction and insisting the focus should remain on her harassment case. Public opinion split instantly. Fans and fellow actors took sides. Social media turned into a battlefield. TikTok edits, leaked texts, and fiery Reddit threads dissecting every line of testimony. Some saw Lively as a woman taking a stand in an industry that silences victims. Others believed Baldoni was being targeted in a new kind of Hollywood power play. The legal drama had spilled far beyond the courtroom. It was now a war of narratives, with each side fighting not just for justice, but for survival. While the public argued online, Hollywood insiders whispered behind closed doors, and what they said painted an even murkier picture. Some called the It Ends With Us fallout the messiest behind-the-scenes drama since Depp versus Heard. Others claimed the story everyone knew was only half of what really happened, according to industry chatter. Studio executives were quietly terrified. A romantic drama about resilience and empowerment had become a legal and PR nightmare. Sponsors hesitated, and streaming negotiations reportedly froze. One Sony insider allegedly admitted, "No one wants to touch this movie until the smoke clears." Even those who tried to stay neutral felt the tension. Blake's longtime agent, Warren Zavala, testified that while filming seemed smooth, post-production was a different story. He mentioned definite issues between Blake and Justin, especially during editing. Off-record, crew members described the atmosphere as strained, saying both stars stopped speaking except through lawyers. In private circles, rumors spread that certain awards committees had quietly distanced themselves from the project, not wanting to appear biased in an ongoing legal feud. At the same time, fans noticed a digital silence. Both stars deleted behind-the-scenes posts and avoided mentioning the film entirely. To some in Hollywood, it looked like a cautionary tale, a story of ego, ambition, and reputations colliding in real time. What had started as a passion project about survival now mirrored the very darkness it sought to portray, and as court filings piled up and whispers turned into headlines, one question lingered everywhere. Who would Hollywood believe when the cameras turned off? As 2025 draws to a close, the stage is set for what could become one of Hollywood's most explosive courtroom showdowns. Discovery officially ended on October 10th, and both sides are now preparing for the March 2026 trial in the Southern District of New York. Lawyers from both camps have confirmed that Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni will take the stand, a rare move that ensures every headline and every word will be dissected in real time. For Baldoni, the stakes couldn't be higher. His production company, Wayfarer Studios, faces scrutiny over its handling of the controversy. A loss could cripple his credibility as a filmmaker known for emotional truth and compassion. For Lively, the trial represents more than a legal battle. It's about preserving a public image built on empowerment, integrity, and control. Industry experts say the ripple effects could reshape Hollywood's balance of power. Studios may become more cautious about giving creative influence to multiple high-profile leads, fearing another clash like this. Meanwhile, fans are bracing for emotional testimonies, hidden emails, and the uncomfortable truth that no one may walk away completely clean. On Instagram, Lively already hinted at her determination, writing, "More resolved than ever to stand for every woman's right to have a voice." Baldoni, meanwhile, has stayed mostly silent, a strategy that speaks volumes in itself. The world is watching, because this time, Hollywood's next blockbuster isn't a movie, it's a trial. When the credits finally roll on this saga, the truth may still remain buried beneath layers of power, ego, and perception. It Ends With Us was meant to tell a story of survival and strength, but in the end, it became a mirror reflecting Hollywood itself. Beautiful on the surface, chaotic underneath. Both Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni built their careers on empathy and inspiration. She, a symbol of elegance and independence. He, a champion of emotional depth and human connection. Yet somewhere between art and ambition, that shared vision shattered. And what's left is a lesson Hollywood never seems to learn, that even the most heartfelt projects can crumble under the weight of pride and control. For fans, disappointment runs deeper than gossip. They watch two artists who once believed in the same story become trapped in their own. It's a reminder that behind every headline, behind every polished red carpet smile, are real people trying and sometimes failing to balance truth with image. As the March 2026 trial looms,
no one knows
who will emerge vindicated. But one thing is certain, this story has already changed both their legacies. The film that began as a message of empowerment has transformed into a cautionary tale about what happens when power, trust, and ego collide. And until the verdict arrives, Hollywood waits, script unfinished, ending unwritten.